My parents told me, "You absolutely must not ruin your brother's wedding with your appearance. Stay home." I simply smiled and canceled the transfer of $250,000 to their banquet fund. They had no idea, however, that the estate where the wedding was supposed to take place actually belonged to me. And before we continue, please tell me which country you are watching this video from. Enjoy listening. Anna had always been a mere shadow in her own home. It wasn't that she was deliberately ignored, rather, she was simply overlooked, much like a piece of furniture or the familiar landscape outside a window. Oleg, her older brother, was the sun around which the entire family revolved. He was handsome, charming, and successful, at least in the eyes of Valentina and Nikolai, their parents. Any achievement of his, no matter how minor, was met with a tempest of delight and praise. Anna, on the other hand, no matter how hard she tried, always remained in the shadow of his glory. She excelled in school, but that was considered a given. Oleg, however, receiving a mere passing grade, would be lauded for his effort. Anna graduated from university with honors, but her parents offered only a perfunctory congratulation, immediately shifting their attention to discussing Oleg's latest triumph at the company bowling tournament. Anna worked diligently and responsibly, but her contributions to the family income were viewed as simply expected, requiring no gratitude. Oleg, after changing several jobs, consistently received moral and financial support from his parents, with his setbacks attributed to the machinations of envious rivals. Anna harbored no envy towards her brother. No, she simply wished for her own efforts to be acknowledged, for her opinions to hold weight, for her to simply be seen. But the older she grew, the more acutely she realized this would never happen. Their family operated under an unspoken hierarchy where Oleg was the celebrated hero and she was the humble worker destined to facilitate his triumphs. After completing her university studies, Anna secured a position as a programmer at a modest firm. The work was monotonous and not particularly engaging, but it provided a stable income. Unlike Oleg, who favored creative pursuits that didn't demand significant responsibility, Anna possessed a knack for saving money. She denied herself many things: new clothing, trendy gadgets, vacations by the sea. All her savings were accumulated in a special account, earmarked for the realization of a long-cherished dream. This aspiration had taken root in Anna's childhood, the first time she laid eyes on an old estate on the outskirts of the city. The dilapidated, crumbling structure with its grand columns and sprawling park seemed to her like a materialized fairy tale. She envisioned herself restoring it, breathing new life into it, transforming it into a place where joy and merriment perpetually reigned. Years passed, the estate continued to decay, but Anna's dream remained undimmed. She persisted in setting aside funds, immersing herself in the study of architecture and design, and gathering information on restoration techniques. And then, at last, the day arrived when she could bring her vision to fruition. Several years prior, the estate had been put up for sale. Without a moment's hesitation, Anna seized the opportunity. She finalized the purchase under her own name but divulged nothing to her family. She knew her parents would disapprove of her audacious undertaking. Oleg, most likely, would simply mock her. Immediately after signing the paperwork, Anna contacted Igor Mikhailovich, a long-standing family friend and, concurrently, an experienced estate manager. Igor Mikhailovich was a man of few words but unwavering reliability. He had long been aware of Anna's aspiration and readily offered his assistance. Together, they devised a restoration plan for the estate and commenced its gradual implementation. The work progressed slowly but steadily. Anna poured all her savings into the project, dedicating every spare moment to overseeing the construction. To ensure the estate generated revenue, Igor Mikhailovich suggested renting it out for various events: weddings, anniversaries, corporate parties. Anna initially harbored doubts but eventually consented. The income derived from rentals was channeled into further restoration and the upkeep of the estate. Thus, Anna lived a dual existence. By day, she was a modest programmer, blending into the anonymous office crowd. Evenings and weekends found her as the proprietress of a magnificent estate, which was gradually transforming, becoming ever more beautiful and inviting. None of her relatives suspected her secret ownership. They continued to perceive her as nothing more than a wallflower, and Anna made no haste to disabuse them. She relished in keeping her secret, feeling empowered and self-reliant. She knew, inevitably, a day would come when she would have to reveal her hand, and that day was drawing near. Oleg and Marina, through an agency, selected the estate for their wedding, entirely unaware of its true owner. Anna discovered this by chance while reviewing documents that Igor Mikhailovich had brought for her signature. The agency's name, the date, the names of the bride and groom, everything aligned. Anna's heart skipped a beat, but she betrayed no outward emotion. She was curious to see how events would unfold. Soon, a formal invitation arrived, a pristine white envelope with elegant calligraphy. Inside, a costly card bearing their names. Anna smirked. A mere formality. They hadn't even bothered to call or extend a personal invitation. They had simply dispatched an invitation, as if for some social function, not for their own brother's wedding. The day arrived when Valentina, Anna and Oleg's mother, appeared at Anna's doorstep. Her face was taut, her gaze assessing. Anna offered her tea, but her mother waved it away. "I need to speak with you," Valentina began, perching on the edge of the sofa. "Oleg's wedding? You understand how significant an occasion this is for our family?" Anna nodded, fully aware that her mother deemed important only that which reflected favorably upon the family in the eyes of others. "We want everything to be absolutely perfect," Valentina continued, carefully selecting her words. "And you see, Anya, you know." Anna patiently awaited, anticipating the crux of the matter. "So finally," Valentina blurted out, "we've decided it would be best if you didn't attend." Anna raised her eyebrows, feigning surprise, though inwardly she had braced herself for such a turn of events. Not attend Oleg's wedding? Why? Valentina faltered, avoiding her daughter's gaze. "Well, you understand, the photographs, the guests, you tend to get a bit lost amongst everyone else. Please don't be offended, Anya. But you know how Marina is. She's had second thoughts about inviting you. She's incredibly particular about image. And besides, you don't enjoy noisy gatherings, do you? You'll be more comfortable at home, in peace and quiet." Anna remained silent, meeting her mother's gaze. There was not a trace of sympathy in those eyes, only concern about not marring the perfect wedding tableau. "So?" Anna articulated slowly. "You believe my presence would somehow spoil the wedding?" Valentina blushed. "Well, not exactly. It's just that you'll be more comfortable at home, believe me. We'll send you pictures, bring you cake. You won't miss a thing." Anna turned away toward the window, concealing the tears that welled in her eyes. Yet again, they were attempting to relegate her to the shadows, to render her invisible, superfluous, and yet again, she had allowed them to do so. But this time, things would be different. "All right, Mother," Anna replied softly, striving to keep her voice steady. "I'll stay home." Valentina exhaled a sigh of relief. "That's wonderful, Anya. You always understand us. We truly appreciate your level-headedness." She departed swiftly, confident that she had resolved the matter. Anna was left alone, gazing out at the melancholic autumnal scenery. Fury churned within her, mingled with resentment and disappointment. That evening, she found sleep elusive. Her mother's words echoed in her mind, fanning the flames of her resolve. Enough. She would no longer permit them to dictate her life. She would prove her true worth. The following morning, Anna proceeded to work as usual. Her job was routine and uninspiring, but stable. It allowed her to meet her expenses and set aside funds for the estate's restoration. During her lunch break, Anna visited the bank and canceled the scheduled transfer of 250,000 rubles earmarked for wedding expenses. These funds were intended for the estate's acquisition and other incidental costs. She was aware that Oleg and Marina had, as always, anticipated her financial contribution, but this time they would receive nothing. Subsequently, Anna contacted Igor Mikhailovich. "Good day, Igor Mikhailovich. It's Anna." "Good day, Anna Nikolaevna. Has something occurred?" "Yes, Igor Mikhailovich. I need to meet with you urgently." Igor Mikhailovich, as always, was concise and punctual. He arrived at her office within the hour. Anna recounted her conversation with her mother and her decision. "Igor Mikhailovich, I need you to terminate the rental agreement for the estate concerning Oleg and Marina's wedding." Igor Mikhailovich listened attentively, without interruption. His expression betrayed neither surprise nor disapproval. He had known Anna for many years and understood that she did not make decisions impulsively. "The reason?" he inquired briefly. "Non-fulfillment of payment terms," Anna responded. "They failed to make the advance payment on time." Igor Mikhailovich nodded. "Very well, Anna Nikolaevna. I shall handle it. When should the contract be terminated?" "The morning of the wedding," Anna replied. "Let them discover this as guests begin to arrive." Igor Mikhailovich nodded once more, rose, and headed for the exit. "Everything will be executed as you wish, Anna Nikolaevna." Anna watched him go, a sense of anticipation stirring within her. The day of Oleg and Marina's wedding would be the day of truth, the day she would open their eyes to who she truly was, the day she would finally assert herself. The morning of the wedding dawned remarkably sunny, as if nature itself were smirking at the impending events. Anna awoke with a peculiar sense of relief, as if a monumental burden had been lifted from her shoulders. She sipped a cup of coffee, gazing out the window at the quiet courtyard of her modest dwelling, reflecting on how starkly this simplicity contrasted with the ostentatious grandeur of the estate. Meanwhile, her family was in a pre-wedding frenzy. Marina, clad in a silk robe, flitted from room to room, issuing instructions to stylists. Oleg, smug and self-assured, received congratulations from his friends, clapping them on the back and promising a rollicking celebration. Valentina and Nikolai, the parents, bustled about. Mere hours remained until the commencement of the ceremony. Shortly thereafter, the first guests began to appear near the estate. Elegantly dressed ladies in hats, gentlemen in suits, children clutching balloons, all anticipated a lavish celebration. However, instead of a welcoming orchestra and smiling hosts, they were greeted by Igor Mikhailovich. His stern demeanor and formal tone immediately put the arrivals on edge. "Good day," he announced, addressing the bewildered crowd. "I regret to inform you that the wedding event has been canceled by the decision of the estate's owner." A murmur arose within the crowd. People exchanged glances, bewildered by the unfolding situation. "Canceled?" one guest exclaimed indignantly. "We were invited. We apologize for any inconvenience caused," Igor Mikhailovich replied, maintaining his composure. "The organizers failed to meet the terms of the rental agreement, thus the owner has made the decision to terminate it." As Igor Mikhailovich explained the situation, an enraged Oleg approached him. "What is going on here?" he bellowed, grabbing Igor Mikhailovich's jacket sleeve. "What cancellation? Who decided this?" Igor Mikhailovich calmly extricated himself from Oleg's grasp and met his gaze directly. "I am acting under the instructions of the estate's owner," he replied. "All inquiries should be directed to him." "And who is this owner, damn it?" Oleg continued to shout, losing all semblance of control. "Where is he? Why wasn't I informed?" At that moment, Valentina and Nikolai arrived, their faces etched with extreme bewilderment and anger. "Igor Mikhailovich, what is this nonsense?" Valentina cried. "You know today is my son's wedding." "I deeply regret this, Valentina Petrovna." Igor Mikhailovich responded, "but I am merely carrying out the owner's directive." "But who is this owner?" Nikolai repeated, clenching his fists. "We need to speak with him immediately." Igor Mikhailovich silently gestured towards an approaching car. Anna emerged from it. Everyone froze. Oleg, Valentina, Nikolai. They stared at Anna as if she were a ghost. Marina, standing a short distance away, curled her lip in disdain. "Anya," Oleg whispered, disbelief evident in his voice. "What are you doing here?" Anna stepped out of the car and slowly approached them. Her eyes held no trace of fear or embarrassment, only firmness and resolve. "I am here because I am the owner of this estate," she stated calmly. A profound silence descended. The guests, forgetting their displeasure, watched the unfolding scene with keen interest. Oleg, Valentina, and Nikolai stood as if struck by lightning. Marina let out a scornful snort, but a flicker of unease crossed her eyes. "You're the owner," Oleg finally managed to stammer. "That's impossible." "On the contrary," Anna replied, meeting his gaze directly. "I purchased this estate several years ago and have been engaged in its restoration ever since." "But where did you get the money?" Valentina exclaimed in astonishment. "You're just a programmer." "I worked tirelessly," Anna responded. "I saved on everything, denied myself many things, all to realize my dream." "But why did you keep it a secret?" her father inquired, attempting to grasp the situation. "Because I knew you wouldn't understand," Anna replied. "You always considered me a wallflower, unworthy of anything more. You constantly lauded Oleg even for the most insignificant achievements, while my successes were simply ignored." Oleg attempted to object, but Anna cut him off. "There's no need, Oleg," she said. "You were always the favored one, and I don't blame you for that. But I no longer wish to live in your shadow. I want to be respected and valued for who I am, not for what I can provide." Marina, who had been silently observing, decided to intervene. "Who do you think you are, ruining our wedding?" she shrieked, advancing towards Anna. "You're simply jealous of us." Anna regarded Marina calmly. "I am not jealous of you," she replied. "I simply want to be left alone. I want nothing to do with people who do not value or respect me." "You'll regret this," Marina snarled, spittle flying. "You'll see how we live and you'll be alone." "Perhaps," Anna replied, "but I would rather be alone than live in a world of deception and hypocrisy." With those words, Anna turned and walked towards her car. As if by command, the guests parted, allowing her passage. Oleg, Valentina, and Nikolai remained standing in the middle of the courtyard, bewildered and humiliated. Marina stamped her feet in fury, shouting, "Curse it!" As Anna settled into her car, Igor Mikhailovich approached her. "You did the right thing," he said, nodding his head. "It was long overdue to put them in their place." Anna smiled. "Thank you, Igor Mikhailovich," she replied. "I couldn't have managed without you." Anna started the car and drove away from the estate grounds. In the rearview mirror, she saw the disappointed and disgruntled guests departing the site of the aborted celebration. Oleg, Valentina, and Nikolai stood as if lost, unsure of their next move. The wedding was ruined. Along with it crumbled the carefully constructed illusions of Oleg, Marina, Valentina, and Nikolai, built over years, about what Anna, the wallflower, should be. Shock, anger, incomprehension. All these emotions swirled in the air like storm clouds, poised to unleash a downpour. The guests, like a flock of startled birds, hastily vacated the estate grounds, whispering amongst themselves and casting sympathetic yet simultaneously condemning glances at Anna's stunned family. Oleg stood in the center of the courtyard as if struck by a thunderbolt. His usually smug, well-fed face was contorted with rage and humiliation. Marina, who had glowed in her wedding dress just moments before, now appeared a pale shadow of her former self. Tears had smeared her makeup, and her meticulously styled curls were disheveled from nervous pacing. Valentina and Nikolai, typically so confident and authoritative, stood clinging to each other like orphaned children who had lost their anchor. They watched the departing cars, the now empty estate, and their eyes reflected the dawning realization of the magnitude of the catastrophe. Igor Mikhailovich, maintaining an impassive facade, observed the scene from a distance. He knew that Anna needed peace and quiet now to process this emotional upheaval. He had fulfilled his role and could now only hope that she would benefit from her victory. Meanwhile, Anna, having returned to her modest dwelling, sat by the window watching the day draw to a close. She felt empty, yet simultaneously filled with a strange, unfamiliar strength. Yes, she had disrupted her brother's wedding. Yes, she had humiliated her parents. But had they not deserved it? Had they ever truly seen her as an individual rather than an inconvenient appendage to their flawless lives? She recalled the endless years spent in Oleg's shadow. All his minor accomplishments were elevated to celestial heights, while her persistent hard work remained unacknowledged. Oleg, our pride, our hope, her parents would repeat. And she, Anna, was merely the assistant, the wallflower, always on hand to solve problems and patch up deficiencies. She remembered how she had dreamed of her own estate since childhood, how she had meticulously saved every penny, denying herself everything to make this dream a reality, how she had spent sleepless nights poring over blueprints and restoration plans, investing her entire soul into this project, and how she had concealed it from her family, knowing they would never understand her aspirations. And now, when the dream had become reality, she had used it to break free from her family's oppressive grip. She knew her actions would provoke an uproar of indignation and condemnation, but she could no longer live by others' rules. She deserved respect and recognition, and if her family was unwilling to grant it, she was prepared to sever ties with them forever. That evening, as twilight deepened over the estate, a car pulled up to Anna's house. Valentina and Nikolai emerged. Their faces were pale and gaunt. "Anna, my darling," Valentina began, her voice trembling. "What have you done? You've ruined our lives." Anna looked at her mother silently. Her eyes held no anger or resentment, only weariness. "I ruined your lives?" she asked softly. "And have you ever considered that you were ruining mine?" Nikolai attempted to take Anna's hand, but she pulled away. "We've always loved you, Anya," he said. "It's just that, well, Oleg was always special." "Special?" Anna scoffed. "He was just good at pretending, and I was always there to cover for him, so you could be proud of him." "But we are your family, Anna," Valentina exclaimed. "We should support each other." "Support?" Anna echoed. "When have you ever supported me? When was the last time you inquired about my affairs, my dreams? You saw me only as a convenient function, not as a person." Her parents remained silent, heads bowed. They understood that Anna was right. They had truly overlooked her, undervalued her, used her. We were wrong, Anna," her father mumbled. "We realize it now. Forgive us." "Forgive?" Anna sighed. "I don't know if I can forgive you, but I certainly know I won't let you use me anymore." "But how will we live without you, Anna?" her mother cried. "You always helped us with money, with everything." "Now you will have to learn to live independently," Anna replied. "I will no longer be your indispensable crutch." With those words, Anna closed the door in her parents' faces. She knew they would suffer, but she too had suffered all these years. And now it was her time to live her own life. In the days and weeks that followed, Anna's life changed dramatically. She resigned from her job and devoted herself entirely to managing the estate. With Igor Mikhailovich's assistance, she developed a new business strategy, attracted new clients, and transformed the estate into a thriving enterprise. Oleg and Marina attempted to contact Anna, begging for forgiveness, offering money, but Anna remained steadfast. She wanted no association with people who had humiliated and undervalued her for so long. Her parents also persisted in their attempts to regain Anna's favor. They called her daily, visited her home, sent messages, but Anna did not answer their calls, open her door, or read their messages. She knew that if she offered them even the slightest glimmer of hope, they would try to exploit her again. In time, her parents resigned themselves to Anna's departure from their lives. They realized they had lost not just a convenient helper, but a loving daughter and sister. They understood that their prejudices and selfishness had shattered their family. Anna, on the other hand, felt liberated and content. She no longer resided in the shadow of others' expectations. She herself charted her course, surrounding herself with kindred spirits who cherished her for her authentic self. Her travels took her to wondrous places. She pursued her passions with fervor and savored every instant of her transformed existence. The estate evolved for Anna from a mere enterprise into a tangible representation of her liberation and autonomy. She poured her entire being into it, cultivating it into a sanctuary where visitors could immerse themselves in nature's splendor and find inner peace. Occasionally, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the estate, Anna's thoughts would drift to her family. She harbored no animosity or resentment, only a gentle sorrow. It pained her that they failed to perceive her true essence, that their ingrained biases had fractured their bond. Yet she understood that her decision was the right one. She had chosen herself, her liberty, and her self-respect. And that, above all else, was what mattered. Anna commenced constructing her life according to her own tenets. She resolutely refused to be swayed by others' machinations any longer, learned to honor her own worth and accomplishments, and blossomed into a formidable, self-assured, and self-reliant woman. And this was merely the dawn of her revitalized life, a life brimming with purpose, affection, and unbridled freedom.